The meeting room was large and cold, filled with the soft hum of alien machines. Strange lights glowed from the walls. Soldiers stood at every corner, some in silver armor, others in dark alien suits with glowing eyes. They did not speak. They only watched. In the center, a long black table separated two groups. On one side sat the United Coalition, a group of human and alien leaders trying to keep peace across the galaxy. On the other side sat the Targari, tall, muscular aliens, with red skin, black armor, and yellow eyes. They were known for violence. They had destroyed 6 planets in the last 3 years. Targari didn't believe in peace. They believed in strength. Still, this meeting had to happen. War was too expensive for both sides, so they tried diplomacy one last time. Among the humans sat a man named Aaron Holt. He was not a general, not a leader, not a soldier. He was a translator. He wore a simple gray suit, no weapons, no medals. His face was calm, almost bored. His hands rested quietly on his eye. He looked like a man waiting in line at a library, not someone about to face a room full of killers. The human ambassador leaned toward him. "Just translate, Holt. Nothing more." Aaron nodded. Of course. The Targari warriors looked at him and laughed. One of them, a young fighter with sharp teeth, pointed at Aaron. "Is this your warrior? This soft one?" he said in the Targari tongue. Another hissed, "Humans send a weakling to speak for them? We should crush him first. He won't even scream." Aaron didn't respond. He simply watched. His eyes, calm and unreadable, scanned the room. The Targari leader, General Krax, stood up. His voice was deep and thunderous. "We are not here to make peace. We are here to tell you the terms of your surrender or your death." Aaron translated his words calmly for the coalition members. His voice was flat, emotionless. Then the coalition ambassador replied, "We offer shared territory, trade rights, and peace." Aaron translated again, carefully, correctly. No emotion. The room filled with noise, growls, threats, laughter. The Targari shouted in their language, fast and full of hatred. Some slammed their fists on the table. Others pulled knives and pressed them into the table's metal edge. One Targari stood and shouted something strange, a phrase that most translators would not understand. But Aaron did, and that's when his eyes changed. His calm face slowly hardened. His hands, resting on the table, curled into fists. Then he stood up. The room froze. No one had asked him to speak. The Targari stared, confused. The humans stared too. General Krax narrowed his eyes. "Sit down, translator. You are not part of this." But Aaron didn't sit. He looked straight at the general. Then he spoke one sentence, not in English, not in coalition standard language, but in ancient Targari, a forbidden tongue, a language of blood and war, lost for 100 years. The sentence echoed through the room, and everything went silent. Even the alien machines seemed to pause. Even the soldiers forgot to breathe. The Targari gasped. One dropped his weapon. The phrase Aaron spoke was a warrior's challenge, something only a Targari war chief could say before battle, something that had not been said since the old wars, something no outsider should ever know. General Krax's face turned pale. His eyes widened. "How?" he whispered. "Where did you learn those words?" Aaron didn't answer. He stood still, cold and ready. The humans had no idea what was going on. But the Targari knew. They didn't see a translator anymore. They saw a threat, a ghost from their past, a man who spoke the language of death. General Krax looked down at his own warriors. None of them moved. None of them spoke. Aaron broke the silence again. One more sentence, quiet but strong. This time even the guards at the door backed away. A moment later, General Krax gave a strange nod. "We accept your challenge," he said. "Ritual combat. One against many." The coalition ambassador stood up in shock. "What's happening? What did you say to them?" Aaron finally turned to the humans. His voice was still calm. "I was hired to speak," he said. "I just chose the right words." Then he stepped away from the table. and walked toward the Targari warriors. The air inside the room felt heavy now. Even the lights seemed dimmer. The silence after Aaron's words was deep, too deep. The Targari stared at him like he was a ghost. Not a man, not a translator, something more. Aaron stood tall, calm and still. His gray suit looked plain, but now it seemed like armor. General Crack spoke slowly, with a dry voice. That language, it is sacred. Only our warlords knew it, only the dead. Aaron looked him in the eye. I learned it from the dead. No. One moved. No one dared to laugh now. Flashback, 10 years ago. Aaron Holt wasn't always a translator. Before all this, he had been a military linguist with Earth's special operations. He was trained to go deep into alien war zones, learn enemy languages and decode secrets. On one mission, a hidden Targari base had been destroyed. All the soldiers inside were dead. But their war scrolls, their training songs, and their battle codes were still there. Aaron had read them all. He memorized them. He didn't just learn how the Targari spoke. He learned how they thought. He never told anyone. Back in the present, Aaron slowly took off his jacket. Underneath, a black shirt hugged his lean, muscled frame. On his arms were old scars, long and curved. Not from accidents, from blades, the Targari noticed. Their eyes narrowed. These were combat scars, earned in real fights. The coalition ambassador whispered, "What are you doing, Holt? You're just a translator." Aaron didn't look back. Not today. General Crax raised a hand. "You speak like a war chief. You carry the scars of battle. But you are still human. Are you ready to face us in the arena?" Aaron nodded. "If that is what honor demands." One of the Targari warriors slammed his fists together. "We will crush him." But Crax raised his hand again. "No, this is not street fighting. This is ritual combat. One against many, a test of soul and skill. No weapons, no armor, only strength." Aaron's face didn't change. Inside, his heart beat fast, but his mind was calm. He had trained for this, not just with weapons, but with the rules of alien war. Every species had their own way of fighting. He had studied them all. The Targari guards stepped forward and cleared part of the room. They pressed buttons on their wrists and the floor shifted. A smooth circle opened in the middle of the chamber. The lights turned red. This was no longer a meeting space. It was now a combat ring. Aaron stepped into the circle. 5 Targari warriors followed, each bigger, stronger, and armed with experience. Their muscles rippled, their teeth were sharp, their eyes burned with Aaron had nothing but his body. No knife, no shield, just training and memory. The room filled with low growls and whispers. Coalition members watched in horror. They thought it was over. But Aaron took a deep breath and dropped into a low, strange stance. It wasn't Earth-style. It wasn't Targari either. It was a mix. Something new, something adapted. One Targari laughed and charged. Aaron dodged, smooth and fast. He stepped aside and struck the warrior in the neck with the edge of his hand. A precise blow. The Targari fell, stunned. The second one attacked from behind. Aaron spun, grabbed the attacker's arm, and used his momentum to flip him onto the floor with a loud crash. The room gasped. The third came at him fast, but Aaron ducked low and kicked his leg sideways, snapping the alien's balance. Another down. By the end of the minute, 3 warriors lay on the ground, groaning. Aaron stood in the middle, calm, breathing hard, but focused. 2 Targari remained. One looked at General Crax. He hesitated. Crax nodded. Continue. The fight wasn't over, but now everyone in the room was watching Aaron with new eyes. Not as a translator, not even as a soldier, but as something else. Aaron Holt stood still in the center of the red-lit combat circle. His gray shirt was dark now with sweat. His chest rose and fell with quiet breaths. 3 Targari warriors lay around him, groaning or unconscious. The last 2 fighters stepped, forward angry and alert. Their eyes were sharp now, no more laughing. One of them circled left, the other moved to the right. Aaron adjusted his stance. The room was silent. Even General Crax leaned forward slightly, watching closely. The coalition officials on the other side of the room looked confused. "How is this even possible?" one whispered. "He was just a translator." But Ambassador Lee, the human diplomat, kept watching Aaron with wide eyes. "He's more than that," she said, "much more." Flashback, 6 years earlier. Aaron had been pulled out of a deadly hostage mission on a moon near Proxima Centauri. His unit had been wiped out. He alone survived by using his skills, not with guns, but with words. He had talked the alien hostage-takers into fighting each other instead. After that, the military offered him medals. He refused them. Then they offered him a job in Black Ops. He refused that too. Aaron just walked away, vanished from Earth Command. He didn't want to fight anymore, but deep inside he knew he still could. Back in the present, the 2 remaining Targari attacked. One went high, swinging both arms like clubs. Aaron ducked low and rolled forward. As he passed the second warrior, he kicked his legs out from under him. The Targari slammed into the floor with a loud crack. Aaron turned fast, using the first warrior's own force against him. He grabbed the alien's arm, twisted, and brought him to his knees. The crowd of warriors watching began to murmur. Aaron stepped back. The last Targari warrior tried to rise again, but his legs shook. Blood dripped from his mouth. He knelt down slowly and bowed his head. He had lost. Aaron stood tall in the center. No cheering, no anger. Just respect. Then, something happened that no human in the room expected. General Krax, the great leader of the Targari, stood and clapped, a slow, heavy clap. 1, 2, 3 beats. Every Targari in the room followed. A loud, deep rhythm filled the chamber. Not applause like humans do, but a warrior's sign of honor and surrender. Aaron bowed his head slightly. Ambassador Lee stood from her seat. "What does this mean?" Krax stepped forward. "Your translator has won our respect. He has spoken in the voice of our ancestors, and he has fought in the old ways. We will speak peace." Lee looked at Aaron, stunned. "How did you—" Aaron gave a small shrug. "I listened, that's what translators do." Later, as the crowd moved to another chamber for peace talks, Aaron stood alone near the combat circle. His hands were still shaking, but not from fear, from control. He had held back. He could have killed them. He chose not to. Suddenly, a soft voice spoke behind him. It was a young alien tech assistant, one of the silent workers during the meeting. She looked nervous. "There is something you should see," she said. Aaron turned to her. "What is it?" The assistant showed him a hidden message on her device. "A signal intercepted during the fight. It wasn't from the Targari. It was from someone else. A third party had wanted this meeting to fail. A human voice was on the recording. Someone had paid to make sure peace never happened." Aaron's eyes narrowed. So this wasn't just about Targari anymore. This was bigger, and blood would fall again. Soon. Aaron stood at the edge of the room, staring at the screen in the young alien assistant's hands. Her skin was pale blue, and her eyes flicked nervously between him and the message. The screen showed a short audio clip. A human voice spoke in a low whisper. "Make sure it ends in blood. If peace is signed, we lose everything." Aaron's face stayed calm, but his hands curled into fists. "Where did this come from?" he asked. The assistant looked around before answering. "It was hidden in the transmission logs, sent from a ship in orbit. Not Targari, not Coalition, human-built, but off-record." Aaron took a deep breath. He had just survived ritual combat with 5 Targari warriors. He had earned their respect, something no other human had done. He had thought the danger was over. But now a new enemy had shown its face, not an alien threat, a human one. The assistant leaned in. "What will you do?" Aaron looked up. "Translate." She blinked. "Translate?" He nodded. "I'll translate their actions into something everyone can understand." The assistant didn't speak again. In the main chamber, General Krax now sat at the peace table. His armor was off, replaced with a ceremonial robe. Around him sat other Targari leaders. On the other side, Ambassador Lee and other coalition members prepared the first draft of the treaty. Krax glanced toward the entrance. "Where is the translator?" Lee replied. "He'll return soon." But Krax's eyes narrowed. "He is not just a translator. He's a weapon, and I believe he has one more war to fight." Meanwhile, Aaron moved quickly through the narrow halls of the station. His footsteps were silent, his mind focused. He entered a dark storage room where his small translator bag had been left earlier. From a hidden compartment inside it, he pulled out a thin black wristband. He tapped it twice. It blinked red. This wasn't just a translator tool. It was a military override device, a piece of gear used only by elite infiltration teams. The military thought he'd returned it long ago. He hadn't. He strapped it on. The red light turned green. Now he could tap into station systems, scan life, signs, jam weapons, and, if needed, disable escape pods. Aaron activated it and whispered, "Find source of transmission." The band buzzed. A hologram showed the location. Docking Bay C7, human freighter. Unauthorized cargo. 2 armed guards. Aaron's jaw tightened. He slipped into the shadows. At Docking Bay C7, 2 men in black armor stood near the freighter. They were human, but not part of any known group. No insignias, no ID. Inside the ship, 3 more armed. Men prepared something, a small silver box with blinking lights. It wasn't a bomb, it was a virus, designed to crash the peace system on the station, lock doors, and spark chaos. Once fear spread, the Targari would panic. Talks would break. War would restart. But before they could activate it, a shadow moved. The first guard didn't see it. His head snapped sideways, Aaron's elbow cracking into his skull. The second turned, but Aaron grabbed his wrist and twisted the gun away. A short fight followed. Fast, brutal. When it ended, Aaron stood alone, 5 bodies unconscious around him. He stepped into the ship's control room, looked at the virus device. Then he tapped his wristband. "Override command, neutralize tech, lock room." The machine shut down. The door sealed. The virus was dead, and so was the plan to destroy the peace. Back in the chamber, General Krax stood suddenly. He looked toward the entrance. A moment later, Aaron walked in. His shirt was torn, blood on his sleeve. A long scratch across his cheek. Everyone stared. Ambassador Lee whispered, "What happened?" Aaron answered simply, "The war almost restarted. I ended it before it began." He reached into his pocket and threw a data chip onto the table. "Here's the proof. Human traitors, paid to stop this treaty. You should know who funded them." Krax stared at him, then smiled. "You don't fight like a warrior," he said. "You fight like a shadow." Aaron looked around the room. Then he said, "Peace doesn't survive by itself. Someone always has to bleed to protect it." Aaron's words echoed across the chamber. "Peace doesn't survive by itself. Someone always has to bleed to protect it." Everyone was quiet. General Krax stood slowly. "You say humans plan to break this peace, to push us into war again?" Aaron nodded. "Not the coalition, a group working in secret for profit. They sell fear." He pointed to the data chip. "Their names, messages, and payment trails are all here." Krax took the chip, holding it like a weapon. "And you destroyed their plan?" Aaron didn't answer with words. He simply rolled up his sleeve, blood, bruises, and dirt covered. "His arm," that was his answer. Ambassador Lee looked shaken. "We were moments from disaster. Why didn't you tell us earlier?" Aaron's eyes were cold now. "Because if I told you, we'd still be talking. They'd be gone by now. You needed this peace, and I needed them to think we were blind." Krax laughed softly. Not mocking, respectful. "I was wrong about you, human. I thought you were weak, just a translator." Aaron turned his head. "I am a translator. I just understand more than words." Elsewhere, far above the station, a man watched the treaty signing from a dark command ship. He wore a sleek black uniform. A scar crossed his face from jaw to eyebrow. He was Director Varn, leader of a hidden group known only by whispers, the Quiet Chain. They made profit from chaos. They worked in the dark, making wars last longer, sabotaging peace and selling weapons to both sides. One of his agents walked up to him. "Sir, the plan failed. The translator," he stopped it. Varn's lips curled. "Translator, he's not just that. He's a leftover shadow from Earth's old programs. I thought he disappeared years ago." "He didn't," the agent said. "And now he knows about us." Varn nodded once. "Then we'll deal with him." He turned toward the stars. "Prepare." The second wave. Back on the station, celebrations were beginning. The Targari and coalition leaders signed the first page of the peace agreement. Cheers rose. Lights turned blue and gold. Aaron stood near the wall, alone. Ambassador Lee approached him. "You should be up there. Everyone's calling you the blood translator." Aaron smiled faintly. "I'm not interested in fame." Lee frowned. "Then what do you want?" Aaron looked out the station window toward the stars. "I want to find who sent those men. I want to end the war behind the war." Lee hesitated. "That's not your job," Aaron replied. "It wasn't my job to fight in the arena either." Later that night, Aaron entered his quiet quarters. The lights were low, his body ached, his arms were sore, but his mind was racing. He tapped into his wrist device again. A message appeared. "Trace found. Codename. Quiet Chain. Location. Unknown. Threat level. Extreme." Aaron stared at it. The battle wasn't over. It was just beginning, but now he had a target. He whispered to himself, "You wanted a war. You're about to meet the wrong translator." Aaron didn't sleep that night. He sat alone in his small station room, lit only by the glow of the stars outside the window. His wristband was open in front of him, showing code, symbols, and hidden messages. He had followed languages his whole. But this was different. The Quiet Chain didn't speak like governments or soldiers. They used shadows, lies, and money. Their language was hidden in bank codes, signal echoes, and false treaties, and Aaron could read it. He whispered, "Every system has a pattern, even the ones built to hide." Then his wristband beeped. "Match found. Deep space relay, unregistered, drifting near Sector 12. Aaron leaned forward. "That's your next hiding place, isn't it?" The next day, he met with Ambassador Lee. "I need a ship," he said simply. She frowned. "Where are you going?" "To find what's behind the Quiet Chain," he said. "I've traced one of their relay points. If I can tap into it, I might hear the voices behind the curtain." Lee hesitated. "You're talking about tracking. A shadow network. That's not a mission, it's suicide." Aaron looked her straight in the eye. "It's also the only way to stop the next war." She sighed, then nodded slowly. "I'll get you a stealth shuttle. One seat, silent engines, no tracking." 2 hours later, Aaron launched from the station in a black triangular shuttle. Silent, fast, invisible to most sensors. The stars stretched around him. As he approached the signal's location, he saw a small broken station drifting alone in space. Dead, no lights. No life. But it wasn't dead. It was listening. He latched onto it carefully and stepped inside. The halls were cold. No air, no movement, just silence. He connected his wristband to the relay node and downloaded the data. Thousands of files. Coded. Messages. Paid transfers. Orders for sabotage. A long, dark web of wars across the galaxy, all touched by human hands. Aaron's face stayed calm, but inside he felt it. Anger. Someone was selling Earth's peace for profit. Suddenly, a click. He wasn't alone. A figure stepped from the dark. Human, wearing black armor with no markings, helmeted, armed, silent. The agent raised a gun. No words. Aaron moved fast, grabbing a broken pipe from the wall. The blast from the gun missed by inches. Aaron slammed the pipe into the agent's arm, knocking the gun away. They struggled in the dark hallway, both trained, both fast. But Aaron fought smarter. He twisted, slid behind the agent. locked his arms, and forced him to the ground. Then he removed the helmet. The face underneath was young, barely 20. Scared, Aaron held up the wristband. "Why work for them?" The agent spat blood. "They pay, and they're everywhere, even inside Earth Command." Aaron's eyes narrowed. This wasn't a gang. This wasn't just a black market group. It was an infection, inside his own people. He downloaded the last file from the relay. Then he activated the station's self-destruct. Time to burn the infection. He dragged the agent onto his shuttle and escaped as the old relay exploded behind them, a fireball of secrets erased from space. Later, in orbit above a quiet moon, Aaron opened the last file. One name flashed across the screen: Director Varn, and below that, next target for peace disruption, Targari Homeworld Summit, 72 hours. Aaron stared out the window. "They're not done," he whispered, "but neither am I." The Targari Homeworld Summit was only 72 hours away. It would be the first time in history that every Targari clan and human ambassador would meet on one planet, under one flag, to sign the final peace pact. But now Aaron knew the truth. Someone planned to kill it. Again. Aaron flew low over the red clouds of Targara Prime. The air was thick with ash and wind. The ancient mountains stretched wide, with long black stone roads leading toward the summit towers. In his shuttle, Aaron studied the stolen files from the quiet chain. One message stood out: "Stage the attack during the peace signing. Blame the humans, collapse the alliance, restart the arms contracts. A fake human ambush. Recorded, broadcasted. A lie designed to spark a war." Aaron whispered. Not this time. Inside the summit, hundreds of alien leaders gathered. Targari, warlords wore ceremonial armor. Human diplomats wore formal suits. Flags hung high. At the center, a tall black table held the treaty. Aaron entered through a side door. He wasn't wearing a uniform. No gun. Just his translator gear. And his wristband. Ambassador Lee saw him. "You're not supposed to be here. What are you?" Aaron cut her off. "There's a bomb hidden inside the translation drones. When they activate during the signing, it'll trigger. Someone wants to frame us." Lee's eyes widened. "Do you have proof?" Aaron handed her a small data chip. "Everything's on here: names, payments, signals, even Varn's voice." She ran towards security, but it was already too late. One of the floating drones near the ceiling began to beep. A voice echoed, "The humans lie. They came to kill our leaders." Chaos erupted. Guards raised weapons. Targari shouted. Human diplomats. Panicked, Aaron jumped onto the table. "Stop!" he shouted. Everyone froze. Aaron raised his wristband and played one recording. Varn's voice filled the hall. "Let the bomb go off during the treaty, then leak the video. They'll kill each other. Then we profit." Silence. Then, one of the drones dropped from the ceiling. A bomb. Aaron ran and caught it mid-air, barely locking it into his wristband's override system. The lights turned red. The timer stopped at 0001. Aaron fell to his knees, breathing hard. He had just stopped a war with 1 second left. Hours later, the room was calm again. The traitors inside the summit, 4 human agents, were arrested. Targari security honored Aaron with a warrior's band. Ambassador Lee hugged him. "You saved the future," she whispered. Aaron shook his head. "No, I delayed the past from coming back." She smiled. "Still, you did what no one else could. You translated the silence between the words." Back on Earth, a news headline spread across every screen. Translator exposes galaxy-wide conspiracy. Saves peace treaty in final seconds. They called him a hero. They called him the blood translator. But Aaron didn't stay to hear it. He disappeared again into the stars. Not for fame, not for medals, but because somewhere out there, silence still spoke. In dangerous ways, and someone had to translate it before it killed again.